Today I just want to talk about two things. One is scope 3 and the other one is scope 4. Some of you might have picked up on social media. I've been posting a little bit about scope 3, and I just want to touch base right now about scope 3 and why it's so important. And then a funny thing, that is, last week I posted a story about scope 4, and I've received some feedback from some of you, and it is quite new knowledge. So let me touch base on that. So very first, scope 3 emissions, what is it all about and why it's important? Many of you already know that scope 3 is going to be essential for climate reporting in the future. Now, what we are seeing right now is there is a huge difference between good scope 3 data and less accurate scope 3 data. So some of our clients have approached us and we've been talking about how can you actually use lifecycle assessment data, lifecycle thinking to map your scope 3. So what we have done at ReFlow is leveraging all our knowledge within lifecycle data, lifecycle thinking about products, about ships, and then turn that data into some actionable high quality data that can be used also fairly early on in the mapping of a company's scope 3 data. Now when I say companies, it can be ship owners, it can be equipment manufacturers, it can be producers, non-maritime producers, so everybody. So I just want to touch base on the whole scope 3 talks, and that's definitely something that's going to get much more attention. But by using lifecycle data or lifecycle assessment data, you are able to get a much higher granularity of the data that you're using to assess the scope 3, but you also will have a much higher quality. Now, why is high quality data a good thing? Let me just say it, if you use high quality data early on, as many of you are when you create baselines, you'll pick up the reward almost momentarily, but surely later on. So having high quality data will allow you to not only create a baseline, but also create a strategy for mitigation and lowering your emissions over time, because you will many times have a granularity that you wouldn't have if you just go with the spend-based data alone. Now, the other thing I wanted to touch base on is the whole idea of scope 4 emissions. Now, scope 4 emissions, and I put that, and I'll link it in this post into my LinkedIn, but I would say scope 4 is really an idea about, does scope 1, 2, and 3 make justice when you want to make improvements, right? So the notion of scope 4 is a way where you can estimate what are the indirect savings of improving a product or a ship's emissions. And some of you came back to me and said, isn't that like pseudoscience? How would you know if what you're calculating is actually true? Don't you use a lot of assumptions when you estimate a scope 4? Short answer is yes, but I hope you can agree with me that we are looking for a way of documenting the next chain in the value chain, the emissions that they will be saving. Because if we are to succeed with the whole green transition, we also need to create value for the next part in the value chain. And when I say value, I also talk about emission reductions. So optimizing your product is a good thing. Optimizing the use of your product so the next party in the value chain can get the advantages as well is an even better thing. So that's why I believe the scope 4 is a good thing. Now, as anything where there is assumptions involved, verification and good practice science is always something we encourage, especially here at ReFlow. So be also critical. If you hear anybody talking about scope 4, make sure that there is transparency in the data, make sure there is verified data sources, and it builds on practical science and good science. So thank you so much, and feel free to comment below.